Hi, folks. Recently, I've started to worry about something that I didn't think I'd have to worry about ever again, but I'll give it some serious consideration to the very real possibility that Donald Trump might detonate a nuclear weapon in anger sometime between now and the end of his current presidential term. And I'm going to tell you exactly why that is on today's edition of
This dude has balls.
Okay, so today, the ball that I've got is one that looks like the whole world, the globe, if you will. And I really believe that there is a somewhat non trivial chance that Donald Trump may destroy it with a nuclear weapon. And let me explain why I think that is. A lot of people have said for a long time that Trump suffers from a variety of maladies, specifically narcissistic personality disorder. I don't think that's a joke. I think if you look up narcissistic personality disorder in the DSM or other psychological manual of diagnostic criteria, I think there's a very good chance he does suffer from that. And we've kind of all known about that for a long time, whether we think of it as a clinical condition or not. That's not a joke. I think that's real. People say he's got dementia and Alzheimer's. I think that is a joke. I don't think that's real. Donald Trump, I do not believe has dementia, but he's got a lot of other things working against him, which are not clinical. They're just bad ideas. But for the first time, I've started to consider the possibility that President Donald Trump may have a different sort of malady than one that we've thought about before. And I've not heard anybody talk about this, so I'm going to do that today. I wonder if Donald Trump has pyromania or something like it. Let me explain. What does a pyromaniac do? He lights stuff on fire and then he watches it burn and he gets some sort of pleasure out of watching it burn and everyone having to deal with the fire that he caused. Apparently, it's not meant to be malicious. Pyromaniacs just have an uncontrollable urge to set these fires. Well, I think Donald Trump has something very similar to this. I mean, when you think about it, every time a few days goes by and Donald Trump's name is not prominently in the headlines, what does he do? He starts a fire. Now, it might be a metaphorical fire. He may, pass some legislation, sign an executive order, declare something kind of crazy, and everybody has to run around explaining it or backtracking it or questioning it. And I think Donald Trump really loves that. He gets a real kick out of causing everyone to scurry around just because he said a few words. It's a very powerful thing to be able to do that. And when you are president, you have the ability to do that. Most presidents don't do things like that, but I think Donald Trump does. And I think he does it because I think there's an element of clinical pyromania in him somewhere. I think that if you follow this line of reasoning and you think, yes, every so often he has to do something kind of crazy, even crazier than before, what is the most logical next step? What is the final escalation? If too much time goes by and nothing major has happened that he's responsible for, well, what is the biggest fire you can set, metaphorically and literally? A nuclear weapon. And I'm afraid that Donald Trump might very well set off a nuclear bomb somewhere. He'll have a vague justification for it, but I think he'll really do it just to see something blow up, have the world scurrying around like crazy, just because he had the power to set it all in motion. And they'll do it, and they'll watch from a distance and get some thrill out of what he has done, and then he'll have to deal with it, and so will we all. So if you think about January 6th, for example, wasn't that sort of the same thing? He lit a fuse, started a fire, sat in the kitchen of the White House or wherever he supposedly sat. I made a video about this already, kind of. And he just watched Washington burn, right? Until finally he had enough, and then he called off the dogs, right? Well, who's to say he can't escalate that because the thrill that he's getting from these other things isn't big enough? He'll go for the ultimate, push the ultimate button, and send the world flying just on his say-so because he's power hungry and he loves using that power to great effect. I really do fear Not for sure that it's going to happen, but I think considering no one's thinking about this possibility, I think we ought to think about it, because I think it is, like I said, it's not likely, but there is a non-trivial chance that Donald Trump, the pyromaniac that he is, will set off a nuclear bomb and potentially cause the end of life on Earth as we know it. As usual, do not like, do not subscribe. That stuff doesn't matter and I don't care. Until next time, this dude has balls.